Oh, I know how to kick this off. There it is. That was so much better than we did in a minute.
Welcome to episode 166 of the CorridorCast.
No slide whistle on that.
Yeah.
No, I think it was a slide whistle and it was everybody else. I think that's what we learned.
Marty told us to lose the slide whistle.
Okay.
So we
can we contextualize
Yeah,
that?
let's
That's very
contextualize
important.
that. Guys, today we are talking about something that's very exciting to all of us. The Halo short. If you guys haven't seen it by now, hop on over to the crew channel, check it out. It's fantastic. These guys put together an awesome trailer for it. And we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of it. Everything that happened since.
Always
everything
with
that's
the meat
coming up.
with you,
With
huh?
you, man.
Always
Yeah,
the
I
meat
got
with
that
you,
meat
huh?
man on the mind,
Huh?
baby.
Oh,
What can
my
I
Lord.
say? You know what I mean? I am a meat man.
Okay.
So yeah, I think obviously the response has been like tremendous. Seeing it from the outside looking in, it's like super exciting because I've been watching you guys do this for months, like under the cover of night, putting in your own hours, like very much a
Great Marty
passion
O'Donnell
project
song.
from the ground up, you know?
I feel like since I've known you, Fenner, I've seen you working on like little Halo shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when you guys first brought it up in the first place and you're like super excited about it. And like to think of all the manpower that you guys poured into this thing to produce this trailer and to see it blow up in that way, like everybody wanting to throw their pee-pee at it, you know? Which, if you're not on the Corridor website, that's the producer points. I'm not weird. I am weird. But yeah, no, it's like really encouraging. I mean, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on like the response and how that makes you feel after all these hours and hours and hours and hours that you put in.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's a little different for me. Like you've seen Fenner's face a lot. I'm usually the guy shooting Fenner, or recording him. So
Recording me, not shooting me.
yeah, not
Like,
shooting you.
Yeah.
So for me, it's been absolutely surreal. Like I was talking to you like the day after, and I was like, it's like, I grew up watching this channel, and to not only be in a video, but for the project that we collaborated on be the substance of that video, it's incredibly humbling, and fortunately people liked it.
Yeah.
And that's even more meaningful. But even outside of that, just to be able to share something that we made is just super special.
Yeah. It was really cool for me. Halo's very near and dear to my heart and always been something I wanted to do. I was texting my buddy this week because we, back in like, I don't know, grade 8 or something in high school, we're like, we should make a Halo movie. And he had an old Jeep and we tried to turn it into a Warthog, which I found an old photo of that Dean used in the video.
That was so cool.
And I was texting him. I was like, dude, check this out. He's like, holy shit, you did it.
How far into the Jeep did you get?
We basically stripped the whole thing and like repainted the whole like chassis. Like, and then we were just kind of like, we barely have our driver's licenses. Like,
The rule is it's not a real Warthog until you flip it and reflip it.
Yeah,
That's when it's a Warthog.
Yeah. No, it was his dad's old rally Jeep, so that thing had been flipped so many times.
so
like,
cool.
yeah.
Had one of the Halo games just come out or something?
Halo Reach beta was going on at the same time, so we'd
dude, I
work on the
remember
Jeep
those
during the
days.
day and then go inside, crush a bucket of KFC, and just play the Halo Reach beta, and it was amazing. Good times, man. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
he's a big music guy, so I sent him the comment from Marty, and he was like, "My God."
Well, yeah. So wait,
Yeah, to
explain the
circle back.
context there.
Yeah, so Martin O'Donnell, one of the original creators of Halo, he was the one that composed, well, with Michael Salvatore, is that the other guy? Composed all of the incredible music that Halo is so well known for.
Yeah.
And he commented on the video and was like a fan, except for the slide whistle and our singing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. But
Marty-
hopefully we redeemed ourselves a little bit.
Marty, if
Yeah.
you're out there, we would love some choir lessons.
Yeah.
So come on down.
Yeah, that's pretty surreal to think, like, because again, it's very easy when we're here to forget that other people see the work
Yeah.
Yeah.
that we're doing.
And
we were passing it to each other, like as friends and stuff, and going, "Oh, check this out, check this out."
Yeah, it's been super cool. And
Yeah.
like I saw some comments. This person was like, "Oh, I work at 343. Like everyone around the studio absolutely loves this." I saw it randomly today on the Halo subreddit. There was a meme that I saw about us. And it was,
way.
you know, the
That's so
classic
cool.
like Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps, but
Yeah.
it's yelling at Paramount. And it's like
That's
Corridor crew
amazing.
built this in a cave with a box of scraps. And I was like, wow, that's weird. That's us. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I was a big Halo fan when it first came out. I have a lot of bad takes in my life, like a lot of bad takes, One of them was that the iPad would never be popular.
Uh-oh.
I was like, who would want a big phone? Like, that's dumb.
To be fair, I think people would have agreed with you at the
Yeah,
time.
I was wrong. I also, when the Xbox originally came out, I saw the original Halo trailer and I said, bust. And it turned out to be my favorite game.
Oh,
So,
man.
you know, don't listen to me. But I loved the franchise, but I fell off like around Halo 4. I think it was, or
Yeah,
something
I think
around
a
there.
lot of people did.
Yeah.
You know, and then when the Halo show came out, I felt so like removed from the IP that I never watched it. But you guys showed me some clips,
Ooh.
Yeah.
and I'm floored just from what I've seen. I'm like not interested, not even remotely interested, especially when contrasting with some of the other stuff that you've shown me from Halo. Like, who was it that made the
Oh, the Neil Blomkamp.
The
stuff.
Neil Blomkamp,
Like,
yes,
that's
That
like
stuff is
the
just
gold
phenomenal.
standard.
that stuff? It's like gritty. It's you feel like you're in it. You know, there's danger, and it feels like. I mean, tell me how much of a motivator was that for the tone of what
Oh,
you guys are building here?
Big time, man. Me and Jonah had a lot of nights where we'd go home, have some whiskey, watch old Halo trailers,
Yeah.
watch different films, and be like, okay, we want to emulate like Aliens, Landfall, and Overlord. Were
Yeah.
kind of our main inspirations.
Yeah.
So-
Overlords was like when we were first talking about the project. I was like, I kind of think this is a really good reference, and you had never seen it, and we
Yeah.
watched it, and you're like, "Yep,
Mhm.
that's it."
Yeah.
Like,
Have you guys seen the movie? It's a Bad Robot Productions one.
I've done. No, I'm
Is
not
it
seeing
the like World War One?
World
It's
War II.
no
World War
Nazi
II.
zombies. The
It's
movie.
Nazi
Oh,
zombies, the
whoa!
movie.
What the
And
heck?
it's so good.
totally flew under the radar. I feel like no one talks about this movie. It's got Wyatt
Russell. Yeah.
and it's like the Nazi zombie movie we always wanted, and just no one really talks about it. And it's got amazing like body horror in it, and it's got like really awesome battle stuff.
Yeah.
And it's all about like a small team going into like an abandoned.
Yeah,
place,
it does
so-
the like ragtag squad going into a base thing very well, which is kind of the whole, breadth of the story that we're trying to tell.
Mhm.
So, very
Yeah.
character driven, which is cool.
Yeah, and when it comes to actually like telling the story, as big of a script as you have, like one of the things that you've leaned on a lot, Fenner, is obviously the assets available in the Blender community, which like as a Houdini artist, I'm very jealous of.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
that was the biggest like aha moment for me. It was as we were working on Stormtroopers, I was like, oh, someone's just set, because originally we like found that weird Russian website that had all the
Yeah,
assets. I was like,
super
oh,
sus
so
Russian
sketchy.
website.
And then I found a Discord that like had them all set up in Blender already, and I was like, that's sick.
Yeah.
And then I found that for Halo, and I was like, oh my god. And that's the Halo archive, and those guys commented on the videos. And
Yeah.
stuff. They're so pumped. They were like, oh, this is amazing. Like, and so that was the moment. Like, it was kind of like the same month of Stormtroopers that we did that I was like, I want to do the Halo thing.
Mhm.
Look at all this stuff. Like, so that's when it started. And then I did like a super rough script, and then showed that to Jonah, and Jonah was like, this is sick. And then we kind of just ended up writing it together, and Jonah really took the ball and just was like,
Mhm.
started sprinting. And then I was like, damn, we should make this thing. So
Yeah.
it was really
For-
cool.
For people who don't know, Jonah, what was your role in this? Like,
I would say like Fenner had this like really raw idea, and yeah, I don't want to like reveal exactly what that idea was because it informs some of the mystery of what we don't want to talk about. But my role really was taking that really writing it out
Mhm.
for the first time, and I was like, all right, so you sent me like a notes app,
Yeah.
a list of things that you wanted to see, and I think the first version was like. It was like 19 pages.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
that's right. It was a chest.
Yeah, it was like, and we had like 5 people. No,
I think it
more.
was 6. I think there were 6
people.
characters.
Oh, wow.
And then we ended
Um,
up we took that through. You wrote it, showed
Yeah.
it to Sam and Nico, and then they were like, cut this thing in
Cut
half.
this in half.
Which is a great note,
Uh-huh.
honestly.
Yeah, and it kept evolving. So my role has really been we met with Sam and Nico a bunch of times and taking those notes and feedback and then iterating, and Fenner and I'll sit down and just talk through stuff. We would record. We like recorded versions of it on our phones, just as voice, and we would listen to them and then keep turning. And at this point, I want to say we're on version 14
Mhm.
of the script, and it's 14 pages, I think.
Yeah.
Lucky.
oh wait, you got it's a 14 pages
yeah.
still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
still
wow.
14 pages, which means I think at the end of the day it'll probably be 10 minutes.
Okay, nice.
I'm as a writer a bit description-y, and I'm aware of that.
Mhm.
I think for a piece like this though, it's appropriate because we don't have the luxury of filming them. So
Yeah.
you have to be descriptive in the actual script to be like, this is what it looks like. Because
Yeah.
you can't go location scout and then be like, that doesn't inform what you're shooting. The script is what's informing what we're creating. So
that's actually a really good point.
And yeah, from the beginning, like that's what really interested me with working in this style of project, which I haven't done before. Is, you know, I've made lots of projects in the past where I'm out and I'm going and I'm filming and working with actors, and you know, that is the form of filmmaking that comes naturally to me. And in the past, I think I have used the act of filming as a crutch to avoid getting really, really nitty gritty into how we're going to shoot it. I'll be like, oh, we'll go. I know that we're going to get some wides, some tights. It's going to be great. And then because I come from editing, I'm like, I'll figure it out. Like, I got this. Don't even worry about it. Which is lazy. And like, that's like an amateur way to go about doing it. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this project is, you know, we aren't even using handles. Like, I tell Fenner the seconds of the shot.
there's handles.
There shouldn't be, and it's my fault that I keep giving you more. But I know we have gotten into a scenario where there's no handles, and I'll just slow it down to like 80% because I need some frames.
Look, as VFX artists, Fred and I, we've suffered enough to always include handles no matter what.
There's handles.
Always have handles.
What that's forcing me to do is like really, and that's been the second part of my role, is just being so specific and boarding out these very specific scenes with reference imagery to lines, and then doing radio edits and getting those working with the images we provided, and then providing what I can to Fenner, and then begging his forgiveness when I don't give him exactly what he needs. And that's been really exciting because it's forcing me. It's like another film school because I can't think about coverage. I can only. It's like when we had Pesci on the podcast. He was like, coverage is for suckers, and I was like, fucking right.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was cool.
Yeah, so that's been the latter half of this project.
Well, it's like, I mean, you guys are basically making an animated. I mean, you are making an animated film.
Yeah.
So it's like, it is a different style of filmmaking. Like, you're not capturing real moments. You're basically putting your vision directly on the screen. And I think like on a larger scale, I feel like everybody at Corridor is like in that headspace of like, we're just animators working with like real people almost sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, we're doing this anime video, and it's the same thing where it's like every shot is perfectly planned out beforehand. And, you know, with compositing and everything, it's like we're tweaking things afterwards. And yeah, it's, I don't know. That's the headspace I like being in, of being like, this is exactly what I want. And, you know, Nico kind of sometimes will say like, yeah, actors are like, they're like puppets for your, you know, your vision. And, but yeah, no, it's crazy that you guys have like committed to just making a straight up animated film.
Yeah, it's
in your free time.
Yeah, it's a big challenge.
All that free time we have.
It was a blessing to get that like 2 weeks to be like, all right, like rock out a trailer for this. And Jonah basically went home that night, and I was like just chilling. And then like 2 hours later, he's like, come into my room. And he was like, check this out. And he had like the bones of the trailer. Like that basically became what it was. It's like very similar.
Yeah.
Which was insane. And then it was from there just being like, okay, let's prioritize finishing these shots. Cause we have a bunch of the film actually done. Like the whole intro is pretty much complete and a bunch of sequences. But this was like the trailer forced us to be like, all right, let's jump ahead 6 sequences and just rock out like 4 shots to that, which has been great because it kind of has defined how those sequences will look. Forces me to have all the environments set up, all the characters that will be in that setup. And then now it's a lot more feasible to make this entire thing because it's basically just drop our camera in Blender, block out shots, do the motion capture. So now it's just a matter of doing them, but it's feels like very doable now, which is nice.
Yeah.
So,
and as far as working with actors for this is obviously different since it is all animated and virtual. Like typically the actor's headspace, it's nice on set to be interacting with other actors. And
yeah,
in this case, I mean, it's JC upstairs, it's Brett, it's like Herman.
Yeah.
Who's in, where does he live?
Norway.
There's no interaction.
What a gem, that guy.
Yeah, there's no interaction with these people, and they don't have any visual reference for what's going on. Like how did you work with that?
Well, originally we were just, for the sake of editing and blocking this thing together, we just wanted to radio edit. So we just sent the script to the actors, and they sent us back just radio edits, like blank line reads with 0 direction. And they nailed it like first try. But obviously it's not conversational, so it's
Mhm.
just kind of them reading lines. So it's like that was when we were piecing together the trailer. We were kind of like, okay, we just have to use the best lines that'll kind of fit this scenario, but they're all out of order. Like someone will say a line and then the other person reacting, but that's not actually how it is in the script. So ultimately, once we are further along in the production, we would love to get everyone in the same room so that you're actually acting together. But one of the coolest things was like JC, because she's here, like she had done her radio edit and we had those lines in the trailer. And we were like, I don't feel like the tone is correct here, because she was reading it with no context. But we'd had the trailer complete at that point. And so we're like, hey, JC, let's go in the podcast room, right where we're sitting now. We're going to bring up the trailer on the TV. This is what you're looking at. And we brought up the big shot at the end with the flood.
And we gave her a gun.
And we gave her a gun. And then we were like,
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
It was really cool because we actually got to direct her. And then the lines that ended up in the trailer were from that little like VO session that was like, can you just record these 3 lines? And it was, she just nailed it, like because she had the context and the direction. So that's been an awesome learning experience, because like I feel like Herman and Brett, they just had to go in blind, which is what we asked for the radio edit, and they did amazing with what they gave us as well. So
did you give them the full script, or did you give them like character notes as well on who
full
they were,
script.
background stuff?
No, we were like, we just want this to be your interpretation.
It was,
wow.
It was super intentional. Like we had talked beforehand, because we've done it so many times that we think we know that we think we know these characters, and we also think that we know the best way to say the lines. And I was when we were talking, we're like, if we give them nothing, they're going to be honest in their interpretation of it, and they're not going to pander to like what we think it is. They're just going to see what's on the page. They read, hopefully they read all the parts, not just their lines, so they know the breadth of the story. Is it good? Is it good if they just read it? And that the goal is then, now the trailer's done, to get them all in one place. And do a stage play of it.
Okay, so you guys are gonna do the whole thing again together.
Probably, I would say I really like some of Herman's lines. They might stay in there, but like,
are they gonna do the mocap?
I don't think so. Like just in terms of like how we can actually coordinate all that, and just like because we are working on this in our spare time, it's like. But it's cool. I've just been kind of doing mocap and mix them up where it fits and stuff.
And that's one of the benefits of like you were saying with the Star Wars stuff. Like so many people do these like clone trooper short films now, because it's like you don't have to do faces, right? They're wearing helmets. It's like the perfect thing to do this for. Where, because it's like you're working with game assets, but it looks like pretty photoreal in some shots. Because it's all hard surfaces and stuff like that. So.
And we definitely like. I mean, you see in the trailer, there's the one shot of JC through the visor. Because that was such a cool thing from the We Are ODST trailer, where you have that depolarization of the lenses. And we're definitely going to play with that in like the emotional moments of the story. We'll have that come through, and that we want to have the actual actors inside the helmets, because it's that shot of JC. You're like, oh, there's a person in there. Cool. But we still also want to have that little bit of like Mandalorian vibe, where you're like, who are these people under? So you don't necessarily want to reveal the actors until it's, if Mandalorian, same thing as the Halo show, dude. He takes off the helmet first episode, and it's like, so you don't care who's under there. But Mandalorian, such a big deal when he took off the helmet.
There's a mystery to it.
And it's like, we kind of want to do a little bit of that as well, and so it's a challenge for sure.
Will they remove their helmets, or is that spoiler? Maybe not.
I'll say this: by the end of the film, you will see multiple actors' faces.
Will you see any butts like the Halo
Master
show?
Cheeks?
Master
Maybe
Master Cheeks make an appearance.
Man. So,
but I was gonna say that like you guys had a bunch of like, was it cosplayers? Like there's like an ODST community who build like actual costumes, who were like, hit us up. So I'm just saying.
No, so I talked to a few of those people, because there is some shots specifically where I'm like, oh man, how are we gonna do this? Like someone's helmet comes off. How do we do that? And I'm like, man, if we just had practical plate and you just blend that with the CG like we did for JC's shot. Another huge inspiration is Love, Death, and Robots.
I was just about to say the Michael B.
Jordan episode, where it's like, if you have someone lying there still and they're wearing a hard bodysuit, it's pretty easy to do the comp of just like the head going like this kind of thing. But hard to have that helmet takeoff interaction. So I'm like, man, if we have a practical helmet and pull that off, and then it's a reveal of like an actual actor underneath, that's pretty pretty damn cool.
Dude, that'd be so rad.
Yeah,
and it's so
yeah.
cool because it like sells the rest of the short as like
Yeah.
people are like, oh
And-
my god, this is real.
And
Yeah.
that might be something where we have the actor in the motion capture suit, and we pull so that the body is the same, is like
Mhm.
actually
Right.
what we have, and you just line up the camera. And so
Yeah.
that's, I mean, that's what they do with Iron Man. Like Robert
Yeah.
Downey Jr. was barely wearing a
It's
suit
pajamas,
ever.
yeah.
Like,
It's a really nice, clever way to bridge the gap.
Yeah.
Of CG and real.
Yeah.
And just take you like that final step in the suspension of disbelief,
yeah,
which is nice.
yeah, and that was kind of, some of that was informed by like Dean doing the Luke Skywalker deepfake and stuff, and doing the helmet on you
with
and
the
the
visor,
visor
yeah.
and the chin strap going up and down.
Yeah, that turned out so well.
Yeah, so it's kind of going to be like a bit like a more refined version of that, having the actual motion capture suit, and then ideally a prop helmet, because this whole Halo community has been amazing. Be like,
Mhm.
we'll just send you stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's CG, but okay,
Dude, it honestly feels like because of the Halo show,
yeah,
you've tapped into like this hardened resentment. Like
Yeah.
it's almost cathartic for people to get this kind of content out of the Halo,
Well, yeah.
IP again. It's
And it's
Yeah.
more than the Halo show. It's like you said, you fell off at Halo 4.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people when, and this is no shade to 343, but like, you know, when 343 took over, it was like the original creators of the game left Microsoft. And then it was like, they were just kind of figuring out ways to extend the story, even
Yeah.
though like, I really feel like Master Chief's story ends at Halo 3. And,
yeah,
yeah.
and so like all these
Yeah.
games came out and people were like, and then the show is like the insult to injury.
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
end
yeah.
of
Oh,
that.
100%. What's interesting with all that stuff, like the minute that you do leave the creator and the source of like the original content, you really do lose the heart of the entire piece. And it goes to show how important writing is. Obviously, you see with Game of Thrones, like when they surpassed the books, like as it had been
Yeah,
written, they
and it-
freestyled and it fell
yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Halo, they freestyled the show and it fell off. Last of Us, guess what? They have, Druckmann, I think his name is Neil
Yeah.
Druckmann.
Yeah.
He's still on board. He's helping guide it, and it feels like an expanded version
Yeah,
of the game.
that's what I've been saying. It feels like a director's cut of the
Yeah.
game in the best way possible, because it's like
Yeah.
everything he's maybe been, thinking about and kind of going back to since the game released, of like, oh man, could I have done this better? Or now that this is a film, like the biggest thing for me in episode 1 was, spoiler alert, there's a plane crash instead of a car crash, and you're like,
yeah,
oh yeah, he's got
There's-
a budget. Like,
Yeah.
that made me yell.
Yeah.
Because I've played the games.
I
I
did, yeah,
loved
same.
the games.
Yeah.
And I literally yelled because I was like, okay, here comes a car crash. And, Whoa!
yeah, and it was
Yeah, I
a
had
big
the
switch
same
because
reaction.
there's still a car crash, but then also they're like, but guess what? There's a plane. And you're like,
Yeah.
"Ah!"
It's those little changes that just enhance it, but it's so tethered to the
Yeah,
original heart of the story because the original creator still
yeah,
attached to it.
Which in contrast, the creators of the Halo show were like, we've never played the game. We're doing
Yeah.
something different.
yeah.
And it's just, imagine if like Last of Us came out and they're like, well, we're kind of doing our own thing with it.
Yeah.
It just kind of misses the point of adapting something
Mhm.
if you're not going to like engage with
Yeah,
the source material.
Exactly. Well, that's also
Yeah.
like, just speaking on that, like Jonah has never played a Halo game, which is
once.
very important for this.
I played the knockoff iPad game. I don't know what it was
What?
called. There's a knockoff
Halo
version
Wars?
of
Hail
Halo.
no.
I don't know what it
Hail
was.
no.
That's
Hail
all
no.
I've ever played.
Yeah,
Um,
but that was actually really important to me because I didn't want to get lost in the fandom of
That's
being like,
true. That
oh, I
is-
could make my cool
that's-
Master Chief thing, and it's like, no, this like has to be something that can appeal to someone that has never watched Halo before, and that was so validating in the comments on the website and on YouTube. People being like, I've never seen any Halo media or played any games, and this looks really cool.
That
Sick.
was that
And that
was
was
sweet.
everything to me, because that's what it was for me. That was my experience. Like
Yeah.
when I watched that trailer still that we made, like I'm a new fan of this.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at it, I'm just thinking like, this is exciting,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
And when it came to writing it, like you were talking about adaptation, like we didn't want to step on anything that has already been done in this universe. It's like, yeah, because then we don't want Master Chief in this. I saw someone in the comment being like, Master Chief should save them at the end.
Oh, geez.
No,
Yeah.
no.
That's
Yeah, it's
the-
nice to step away.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's
We're
funny you
doing
say
our
that,
own little pocket.
because that's the other end of it, is like you want, and again, Last of Us is a great example. It's like you want to be a fan of the thing, you want to be like have a love for it, but then on the other end, if you are way too deep into it, you can't see the forest for the trees.
Mhm.
And there's so many fan films, like, and I think you guys dodged this really well, but there's so many fan films where it's like the whole plot is, and I mean, honestly, a lot of like the Marvel stuff and the Star Wars stuff is becoming this. The plot just becomes like here's the thing, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
here it
Oh,
is.
there's the
Fucking
thing.
Iron
Yeah, totally.
Well, I'll say like Mandalorian, incredible. I think the weakest parts of that show are when they start to tie in like Boba
Mhm.
Fett. Though they brought in Luke and that was pretty awesome. That stuff's good.
That like broke through the
Yeah.
like here because it's too powerful and
Yeah.
everybody has a relationship with the Star Wars movies and
Yeah.
it's like, but yeah, there's
But I think Mandalorian is so good because they started off. The foundation of the show is like we're doing our own thing.
Just
This
like-
is in the Star
yeah.
Wars universe, and that was huge inspiration for us with this. It's like
Mhm.
we wanted to make something that theoretically could fit into the canon because we're not trying to be like, and this is then Master Chief did this, and this is during this thing. We're like, this is just kind of some
Yeah.
story that happens
Mhm.
at some random research.
it has
base.
like self-contained stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I think was the flaw of the Halo TV show. They're like, we are gonna take the most iconic character, the face of the franchise, and reinvent it and try to tell this story instead of just being like, just make a new character. I
Yeah,
think the Halo show,
yes.
people would like it if it wasn't Master Chief.
Do you think so?
It's,
I'm not so
it's
sure.
rated well. It's got like 7 out of 10 on IMDb, but
that
it's
right?
I think for people that aren't Halo fans. And it's-
For shows,
I still
that's
don't
kinda
think it's a
low,
great
though.
show. but-
I so I've told you guys this, but I sat down to torture myself and I watched 4 or 5 episodes of it.
Wow, well done.
And I had a notepad out because I was like, I've heard this is the worst thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to like, cause you know how sometimes you watch something really bad and you get like inspired by it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna do that with the show. And by episode 4, I was just broken.
Yeah,
really.
It was
You were out of ink.
It's not-
What was the most egregious part for you?
so they like Halo is a very simple adventure story. It's like you got to get the thing to put in the thing and then you win.
Yeah,
you know.
Okay.
It's a video game, and they took that universe and tried to like do a Game of Thrones
Mhm.
take on it, where it's like factions are vying for power.
Okay.
And so it's like the
Yeah.
UNSC and the scientists and the insurgents, and then the kind of the stuff that you really like in Halo, which is the you know, I think of it as like proper noun science fiction, where it's like the Ark, the
Yeah.
Covenant. It's all of this cool like ancient aliens stuff with the Forerunners. Like all of that stuff is just put off to the side, and it's like here's all these human factions, and it's like, is Master Chief really a fascist? Like, what is going? And he has feelings now.
Which is so crazy because it's like they did that in Halo 2, but it's all in the Covenant.
Yeah.
And like they do the Great Schism or whatever, and it's like
Which-
you could have just had that as like the B story in the show.
Yeah, which
Like, it
they've
would've been
already,
sick.
because they have a character called McKee, who is like this woman child who's adopted by the Covenant, and she's like the chosen one, kind of, and so is Master Chief. It's really dumb, but she kind of takes up that story territory of like Arbiter in Halo 2, which
Yeah.
is such a beautiful storyline because you have these parallel stories of Chief and Arbiter, who's like questioning his religion, and you know, I think they could have done justice to the original Halo story, because it's not like it's the best written story, but there's like a kernel in there that I think we responded to.
Well,
as kids.
It could have had the Last of Us treatment.
Yeah.
Where it could have been like, you know, like the first Halo story, pretty bare bones.
Yeah.
But there's a good plot there. And then leading into Halo 2 is really where they're like, all right, let's expand this. And you get the perspective of the Covenant really good.
Mm.
And I'm like, man, if that got the like full on Last of Us treatment where it's like, let's just expand this, but not reinvent it.
Yeah.
Well, and then also, you know, they were kind of making those games as they went
Yeah.
and scaling it up each time. What if you could start with the end in mind, like a Breaking Bad, like something like that, where you know where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
So you start the first season and you can set all those stakes, but like start small. It sounds crazy to say like a Halo ring is small stakes, but in the first game it is kind of like small stakes. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of end of the universe, but it's like a couple characters, you know, on a ring.
Yeah.
And small stakes is not bad. Like, I think we're all a little tired of universe-ending stakes anyway.
Yeah.
No, I think
In
everybody
Marvel?
right now is like dying for, like, remember Spider-Man 2? Like the stakes
Which
are like
one?
Yeah,
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 2, or Spider-Man 2?
The Sam Raimi,
Toby-
The real
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man.
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
The real
Andrew
Spider-Man.
Garfield, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Ah.
But remember the end of that movie is like, it's like a city block that's in danger.
Yeah.
You know, but really the stakes are all of the emotional stakes, which is like Peter's girlfriend's there. You know, he's had this relationship with Otto and he's gone off the deep end. And, you know, there's no blue laser coming down from the sky or whatever.
Same with Andor.
How will we know?
Yeah, that's why I
Andor's
loved
a great
Andor.
example of that.
Yeah. That's why I love Daredevil. Like, dude.
Daredevil's great.
Yeah, because
We
he's
don't
like,
need it. Yeah.
it's like, the Avengers, whatever. I'm just here for Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
And the reality is we don't need world-ending stakes.
Yeah.
It's nice. And, you know, going back to kind of not staying true to the source material with the Halo show, my jaw dropped when I saw Master Chief's face immediately. I was like, whoa, hold on a second.
Yeah.
So I remember in the game, like the tease of him taking off the helmet and it being obscured, and I was like screaming as a kid. I was like,
Yeah.
Have you
What does
ever
he
seen
look
the
like?
video? Somebody broke the camera so they could keep it in the ship, and
Yeah.
he takes off his helmet, and it's just his helmet underneath.
It's the
That's
best. Dude, he just goes,
amazing.
"Whoop," and there's another helmet underneath.
That is incredible. I haven't seen that. That's
Yeah.
amazing. But
It's-
yeah, it's like that kind of stuff. Like already that's not my Master Chief.
yeah.
Immediately.
Not my.
That's not my
Yeah.
Master
And it's
Chief.
like they had the template right there of the Mandalorian.
Mhm.
Like, just
Dude.
keep
I
the
think they
helmet
were
on.
too worried to be,
Yeah.
you know,
It's crazy though,
close to
because it's
that.
like they got the original voice actor for Cortana, Jen Taylor, and it's like, just get Steve Downs to do the Master Chief. Just keep his helmet on.
Keep his helmet on.
Great.
And
it
Cortana
easier.
in the show, Cortana's kind of like a villain a
Yeah,
little
it's-
bit because she's like spying on Master Chief, which is, I don't know. I think it's funny, Mandalorian, not only just because they have a character with a helmet, but like this, and Last of Us, the same thing. The wolf and cub kind of storyline of like this
Yeah.
person guiding
So
a defenseless, you know,
Yeah.
character. That's what's Halo is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because Cortana's like the key to everything, and Chief has to get her somewhere.
Yeah. So what we need is Pedro Pascal as Master Chief.
Yeah, dude.
Whoa.
Oh man, dude,
Pedro's the
that
key to
dude
all of
can't
this.
miss, man.
Nope.
Yeah. He's
That
What a
dude
sweet
cannot
gig too, because he
miss.
doesn't have to be in the suit most of the time.
Yeah.
Just get someone else to
Oh,
do
you're
it.
so right,
So he just is like gets to be the voice actor.
man.
That's amazing.
But I will say the VFX in that show, a lot of them are really cool.
in
like-
Halo.
Yeah, from what
there's
I've
some
seen, like
dude, the environment work is so
Incredible.
good.
It's like the effects themselves are
Yeah.
really good.
mhm.
The filmmaking approach to the show
Mhm.
is so bland
Yeah.
and
It looks
boring.
like CW.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like
100%.
which
and it's jarring because you'll go from like one shot in the show that you're like, damn, like some huge wide
Mhm.
pushing in on a city. We're like, that looks incredible, and then you cut in, and then it's like locked off camera in
Yeah.
like a set that's like, and then
that
Cortana pops up and is like, hi, and you're just like, oh,
I hate to say this is that's how I felt about the Lord of the Rings show.
Oh,
I
interesting.
watched like the first episode and I was like, there's
Mm.
like this cool sweeping environment shot, and then
Mm.
they cut into a close up of a character, and it's just like I'm just watching actors talk.
Yeah.
There's no filmmaking going on here.
I can kind of see that, although to a lesser degree, certainly. I enjoy
You
Lord
were
of
a
the Rings.
fan.
I'm a
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings child at heart. Like that was
Right.
my
You're a little hobbit.
Star
inside.
Wars. I'm a little hobbit on the inside.
Yeah.
If
like
I
a-
take off my feet, just covered in hair, like
you can't
yeah.
say Hobbit anymore. It's Harfoot now.
Yeah, thank you,
Oh.
Fenner. Jeez Louise, this guy, come on, catch up. But yeah, the Lord of the Rings show, I can see that too. Like there were moments where, granted, they poured so much money into it, it did look like a little bit CWE too
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
me.
Dude,
to
that
be
was
honest,
the thing with Halo was $10 million an episode.
that was wild.
It's crazy. And we were talking, like we sat down and just watched the Blur Halo 2 anniversary.
Oh,
So good.
Like the scene where Chief, he's like giving the Covenant back their bomb. And
Yeah.
he takes the bomb and goes to the other ship. Like that looked better than everything in
Mhm.
the Halo show, even
Yeah.
though it's all CG.
Yeah.
And it's all the filmmaking. It's all like
Yeah, you're so right.
the cameras are tied to like it's like which you kind of took that approach with this
Yeah.
that's
ODST
been a
film.
huge thing with ours is like we don't want to have any floating cameras. It has to
Yeah.
be a shot that you could feasibly get. Like
dude, the shot through the tank. We had a whole conversation about that in the trailer. There's like this camera that there's like the tank, fractured tank, and we're pushing through, and you see the people walking. And Fenner was like, "Where would the camera be? How are they
Mhm.
doing this shot?" And I had to like justify the camera system that would like work
Right.
for this shot. I was like, "No, you could do it.
Yeah.
If it was like a jib and like you pushed
yeah,
it
Jonah
through."
had to convince me of his camera rig.
Yeah, he's like
I was
showing you
all right, I'll
speed
do the shot
limits.
for you.
Sketched it out.
He's like, yeah. So if we did like a jib arm and we did this, we could pull it off. I'm like, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
like
That's the
which
rule.
and then Blender, you're like 2 keyframes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
But it's like when you're God, when you're a program and you can do anything.
yeah.
It's less about what you can do, and it's more like why.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Why you're doing
having
it.
restraint. That was
Yeah.
like we rewatched Avatar and then watched Avatar 2, And there's some moments in that movie are so sick because they feel so grounded. And then you get a shot where it's like floating camera that flies through space. And you're like, oh, okay.
It weirdly removes all the stakes of the whole thing. Like in superhero movies, I see it all the time.
Yeah.
And it just all of a sudden doesn't feel grounded. Okay, now there's no danger. And it's just literally a choice on camera.
And then those
motion.
moments in Avatar 2 where it's like handheld looking and you're like,
dude, when the
opening shit.
What was it when when they blew up the forest and there was like the ships were parachuting down and it's like you see all this lens distortion
those
and
are
it's
like some of the most incredible shots I've seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
I was like,
I was
with
like
the Navi on the horses, like going through, like the
no,
when they first come in, they're
movie.
just like scorching
when
the
the
earth.
humans come back and they're like, you guys think you can mess with us?
Yeah,
man.
No, yeah, but that's an interesting thing. Is like it doesn't matter how good the effects are if it feels floaty and it feels like you can be as sharp and crisp as you want. But like I think of you guys remember the Battlestar Galactica remake from the early 2000s? Like that show, the effects look really bad now, but it still feels good because there's the whip zooms in space and it feels like somebody shooting from the cockpit of one of the fighters.
It feels like as a VFX artist, it does hurt to say this because I love visual effects and I will often go to movies just to see visual effects because I just love the artistry in it. But it feels like the other elements, like I think of RRR, right? That story was serviced by some good VFX and some that was like just filling the gap. The creature stuff, it's like decent, but you can tell it's CG, but it's purely there to serve as a story that you are fully in. And you are so committed to the story that it doesn't matter. Like throw it in there versus Halo, great visual effects on this thing that you don't like. You can't adhere those two together in the same way.
Yeah. And Sam and Nico talk about this all the time, but it's like, it's not successful unless it's getting the idea across.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, if it gets the idea across, you're pretty much done. Like you can take it to 60, 70%. And it's still, especially, for stuff we make on YouTube, it like gets the idea across. Whereas, if it's just, ooh, look at all this pretty window dressing, but there's no, real meat to it, then
I mean, how
bring that up?
No. Oh gosh, I'm triggered.
We had the intervention in this room, Dean.
Right here.
Oh, it feels like only I'm getting the meat sweats. I mean, as far as VFX, obviously this whole thing is visual effects. Like how percentage wise, how far are you along to having like a finished thing? Because I think there's talks of us all jumping on it, which I'm like super eager and I would love to. But where are you now in the grand scheme?
I don't know, maybe 20.
Yeah,
is that 25%?
Oh wow, I was actually expecting like 60.
No.
Okay.
And here's the problem.
It
gets incrementally more difficult. Because, well, I don't want to give spoilers away, but like what we have set up, I'm thinking really hard so I don't say anything. What we have set up is going to work for a lot of it, but there's some stuff towards the end that is like really high level stuff that is going to need a lot of love.
One hand animation probably.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
and the plates, and that's going to take time.
Yeah.
And those elements all happen in the last 5 pages of it. And the last like 3 pages. That's when we need everyone.
Yeah.
And I guess there's also the idea of the animation not really taking place until you have final performance.
Yeah.
Because that would obviously influence your actions in the Rococo suit.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So, it's like, I don't know. There's probably, of finished footage, we probably have like 3 minutes of a 10-minute piece. So maybe like 30%. I don't know.
Heck yeah.
But having said that, all the environments are set up, all the characters are set up. So then it's just a matter of setting the shots up, rendering them. So it's like feels like a lot left to do, but then it's just like, if you did, I don't know how many shots there are left, but if you do like 1 or 2 shots a day just after work, then I'm like, sweet, it's just done in a few months.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you think about it,
cool.
it's like we had some stuff done we had been like slow cooking on, but like the amount of stuff that we got through in 2 weeks, if we rolled with that, it wouldn't take that long to finish.
Yeah.
Because that's a quarter that we did in 2 weeks.
I broke down our full shot list and I was like, if it's just me working on it, conservatively, it would be like 50 days of work.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But that's honestly, in the span of a year, like that's not that bad.
Yeah.
And that's just like, that was being, that's if I'm finishing like 2 or 3 shots a day, which, once you're just doing like dialogue shots in an interior, it's like you can start to rip through stuff. So.
Yeah. And like you said, you've set up all the environments and stuff already to to move super quick. Like, granted, it's a much, much smaller scale, but for like the mobile game ad, we had however many shots it was. It was like a minute of purely animated 14 characters. Like, there's a lot, and like facial animation with models that were not rigged at all. And so like, step one was rig all the characters, procedurally switch those rigs out to the other characters. And once all the set is built, once all the characters are built and the full range of animation is possible to you, then you pour it into the funnel, and it expedites the whole thing super, super quick. So it's not a shot by shot basis. You've already built the 60% that you need to send it the rest of the way. And you speed up on your way out, and it's very encouraging in the workflow. But it sounds like that's kind of the situation you're in. Which is
like
nice.
By the end of like the 2 weeks I was working on the trailer, it's like shots were coming together in like an hour from like opening the Blender scene to final like render.
That's
which is
awesome.
Really nice.
You're doing that trick where you're doing multiple cameras, so you could have one scene, one file, and you were just setting up every camera. We would have our mocap take, and then he could just fire off like 5 cameras, render each one, and it's pretty light.
So it's also just fun to work on because I'm like, cool, I just get to make a cool Halo render. But then at the end, it's like, oh, sweet, it's all pieces together into a cool story. So it's like fun to just slow burn on, honestly.
I'm curious what you've learned along the way on the CG side of things. As far as workflow, like going in and coming out now, what are some of the lessons you've learned from?
Man, so much. Like, I'm still fairly new to Blender. So just learning how to just optimize scenes, render settings to just like get rid of flicker, how to like make something go through quickly. Like, because it was getting to the point, like, albeit we do have awesome computers from Puget, but like some of the scenes I've got down, so it's like 3 seconds a frame.
Oh
which
my
is
gosh.
crazy for like all
Through
the lighting.
cycles?
Through cycles, some of them.
Whoa.
But also Eevee, then you can get some like, it was like crazy. It's like almost real time playback and stuff. Like I was showing you some of the environments where like moving a camera around with depth of field on in real time.
Because they're game, like you were saying,
it's
they're
game assets. Yeah.
Oh, so they're like fully optimized.
Yeah.
What's like, this is such a dumb and nerdy question, but I am genuinely curious. Like, polygon count for a character. What are we talking? Do you know offhand?
Oh, the characters are actually pretty dense.
Oh,
like that's definitely what they put the most time into. But like the environments and stuff, it's like, it's crazy. You can just load that up and it's really easy.
That's awesome.
Other things I've learned just in just blocking, like that's been huge for Jonah and I. Like we've been using Shot Deck, which was made during the creation of the Joker movie, Joker, where it's basically like a bunch of super high quality stills that you can just search. It's a search engine for cinematography.
Oh, that's cool.
great.
What do you like? What descriptors do you type in to find images?
Like,
Dude,
anything you want.
Like low angle,
hit
like
us with one.
friggin'
fucking
50 mil.
left heavy, red majority, 60% red, 30% blue, low angle with a man with a beard.
What?
Yeah,
Whoa.
and it's just the highest quality still from a movie.
And
What?
they add images every week. They also have like a really cool forum on there. It was made by the DP of the Joker, who just got fed up of trying to find images, and he's like, "I'm just gonna make it," and he
Bro.
just
Yeah.
made it. And you have to pay for it, but
How much? Do you know offhand?
I can't remember. It's like a yearly thing. Maybe it's like
Dude.
$60 or something. I don't.
Honestly,
Honestly,
so
worth
it's-
it though.
But
Like,
Straight up.
if you're interested in creating your own stuff and really want to find reference imagery, it's the best.
Dude,
yeah,
the reason I quit commercial directing was because of the pitch packets that you have to make.
yeah.
You have to make pitch packets for every job that you bid on.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it takes days. And a lot of those days is just finding imagery that supports your vision to try and sell it to a client.
Yeah,
And it's so demoralizing trying to go on Google Images and find images.
Yeah.
yeah.
That sounds like an incredible resource
Yeah,
to,
it's
only
to
getting
do all
better
of
and
that.
better.
amazing. Yeah,
Like they didn't have. Every time I go on there, there's like a new little tool that you can refine your searches with, and then you can build decks in there and then download those and share them with
Wow.
people and make notes in there. And so,
Yeah.
Dude, that
Gosh.
now that and then text the image.
yeah,
Text to image,
You can
yeah,
just get
Stable
whatever you
Diffusion.
want.
yeah.
yeah,
That's-
genuinely.
yeah.
Ooh,
Dude,
I
that's-
didn't think about that.
That's
Yeah.
literally what we did for the mobile game ad. We had picture frames.
Yeah.
And I threw a picture of a horse in there and I was like, haha, horse, right? It was fine. And then Matt's like, actually, we might not be able to use that image. Where did you get it? And we had like 3 minutes of conversation and then we're like, duh, dude, let's just freaking make one. So
Yeah.
horse
AI
image,
horse.
tigers, and
Yeah.
you just generate them and stick them in. Man, it's such a great
so
situation.
many cool tools
Mm.
just for pre-visualizing stuff. We've
Mhm.
talked about this before, but like now's the best time to be doing this because like
Mhm.
you have everything you could ever imagine, which is intimidating too because it's like, you know, when when like Scorsese was making his movies, he didn't have like an amazing computer and the entire internet, and he still made the stuff. So then it's like, is it a crutch or is it a tool? And you just have to know.
But you go back and watch Mean Streets. That's a jank ass movie, dude. Imagine if you had Blender. Imagine if you had, you know.
Dude, I wonder, you put like Scorsese's born 2000 or 2000, year 2000. Does he do it practically, or is he like a VFX artist now in the way things are? Because he was a go-getter, and he his first movies, like, he was making by himself and trying to get done, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And like, which route would he go?
I think it's
if he had the tools,
whatever tools are available to get it done.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny now. Those guys are all old and they're like so judgmental of like,
yeah. There's like the greatest lessons I've learned from just the ground up is, and I say it all the time, is use the tool for the job. It makes everything infinitely easier.
Yeah.
Don't try to necessarily shoehorn, unless of course resources unavailable and you have what you have. That's totally fine. But yeah, using the right tool for the job and not trying to necessarily master every corner of a software. Like, learning what you need to learn for the task at hand is an awesome way to learn everything as you go.
Yeah.
It's really, and it's kind of, sometimes it's like the only way you really are going to learn.
Because you retain it, because you have a memory tethered to it. It's like locking it in. It's like, oh, the time where I was pulling my hair out for 2 days. I'm not going to forget that. I'm not going to forget the solution that I found to that. Yeah. That's like a core memory now. And you build enough of those, like Fenner, you're saying, from the minute you started to the minute you're at now, how much you've learned in Blender.
Yeah.
And it's all tethered to like memories.
Emotional.
You know,
It's
a different way of learning that's really, really good.
I always think that's the best way to learn, is just start doing something. Because it doesn't work for me to be like, I'm going to learn this. It's like, I have to have a reason to learn
you
it.
gotta have stakes.
I'm going to learn what every button here does.
Yeah. And
with no
like,
context.
Yeah. It's like, but how do I use those buttons to actually do something?
Yeah.
That's what I need. Like,
Man, that's awesome. Yeah. And I mean, another thing I'm curious about is, obviously we know JC, we know Brett from the channel, but Herman.
Yeah.
Like, how did that come about? Who is Herman? Like, how'd you guys meet? How did he get involved in the project?
Herman's a huge Corridor fan who also happens to be an incredibly successful actor.
Yep.
He's the star of the Netflix show Ragnarok. He was on this huge Norwegian show called Scam, which I actually watched like many years back. And he just came by the studio. He was in LA for some meetings, and he was like, hey, I would love to come meet the team. And he just came by and hung out, and he was like the nicest dude ever.
He was lovely.
Yeah, he's like the coolest dude.
Yeah.
We love you, Herman.
Yeah.
And me and JC and Matt, we just went out for some drinks and dinner with him, and we just started talking about like projects we wanted to do and stuff. And I was like, Matt had been helping us shoot like some previs for it with JC, and so we just started talking about it. He's like, are you guys talking about Halo? He's like, I love Halo. And so we're like, no way, dude. And he's
he did some game streams, actually.
Yeah, he's like setting up Twitch streaming and stuff. Like he's just a gamer, man. Like, and he's a big Corridor fan, and so he's an incredible actor. So he was just like, can I do this with you guys? And we're like, yes.
Does he know he took my job?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, I'm in the previs too.
Yeah, we had a couple really fun nights of shooting iPhone previs with you.
We pulled late nights. These guys bought us food.
Yeah.
And we hung out until like 9 or 10 at night, and we shot the whole thing practically as like reference.
Yeah.
To match with the CG cameras, and some of it got tracked or to some degree, I think.
Yeah.
But that is, are we ever going to release that like after the whole thing is done?
We should do that on
Corridor Crude. Like, that's the Corridor Crude exclusive.
Dude, I don't know, between the intervention scene that we shot with you and that night, those are the two funniest.
Yeah,
the most times I've laughed, because you were killing it,
bro. Here's the issue that I have in life, and it's a real problem. This is a medical issue. I can't do anything seriously. Nothing in my life that I've touched I can be serious with. I did my first project at Chapman Film School. I poured myself into, and I was like, I'm going to make something dramatic and compelling, and I want to be the guy that everyone looks to in the class and goes, wow, that guy's a filmmaker. So I brought in some actors, like I put together a whole scene, and it was about this dad who was lamenting the fact that he was out of money, and it's revealed that he's lamenting over his daughter's piggy bank, and he decides to break it and take the money inside for whatever it is, fill in the blanks. And it builds to this pivotal scene where this guy's going nuts, and then it reveals the piggy bank in the wide as he's about to smash it. And everybody in the class started laughing when it revealed the piggy bank.
No. And it broke you as a human.
as the piggy bank broke, so too did I.
Yeah.
But what I did was I pretended it was supposed to be funny.
Oh, worse.
no.
I was like pretty good, right? But I was trying to be serious.
You're
And from that
Tommy
moment
Wiseau.
forward,
I
dude,
know. I was gonna say,
Tommy
Tommy. That's
Wiseau.
exactly what I was thinking.
No, it was a dark comedy.
It was a dark
dude.
comedy.
It was
I
a
meant for
dark
it to be
comedy.
funny.
I'm
Oh,
fed
my
up with this
Lord.
world. And so I leaned into it. And ever since then, I was like, I just commit. Like, I can't do anything serious. So Herman, you belong in that role, brother. Like, if you see the footage that I'm in, you'll agree as well.
You're great,
You're also
though.
playing multiple parts in the previs.
Did I? Oh, I did,
Yeah.
didn't I? Who?
Yeah, dude. You kind of, you know,
swapped
you're
around.
like
You were loose,
water.
Yeah.
You
goosey.
kind of.
Yeah.
You were JC for a bit. It
That
was
was JC for
That
a
was a
bit.
super
Did you
fun
put the
night.
wig back on?
Gosh,
Yeah.
man. I should have been Batgirl, though. That was born for that one. That was a
Yeah.
mistake. I
It's,
still stand by that.
It's hard to do something sincerely. Like,
Yeah.
that's like one of the things that has been a founding idea with this project. It's like, there was a couple of times I was like, what if he said this? It would be kind of funny. And Fenner was like, no.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you're right. Let's stay true to our value here. Like,
Yeah.
we're not trying to make a joke. It's not,
Mhm.
there are no punchlines.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing something with sincerity, and that's real hard.
Yeah.
Because if it falls
Mhm.
flat, it falls flat.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had a similar experience like freshman year of film school, 48-hour film fest. Got real serious. It was in black and white.
Oh, you did it. You did the college thing.
Wow.
And it was like a group, it was like a noir, you know, and we were like,
Oh,
it was
fuck
real good, you know.
Yeah, college,
and,
maybe.
And they rented out an AMC theater.
Oh my
Um,
god.
oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
and
Okay.
the whole program was there. Not the whole program, but everyone who wanted to do the 48-hour film festival was there. And it was this noise after. Just absolute silence. Just not even claps. It was like, and
I'll
it
take
wasn't
the
just me, it was
laughter,
like a
dude.
team. And I got such a massive chip on my shoulder from that I like came back the next year and I was like, I'm gonna make something funny because everyone loved everything that was funny won.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck you guys, let's go.
And at the end of it, it was this sound. No,
No, and we won.
Oh, you won. Okay,
I
great.
was
Okay.
so vindicated.
Oh
But
my gosh.
what then it taught me was like, oh yeah, I'll just be funny now. I'll just be funny.
Yeah.
We made this mockumentary and I was like, ha 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 ha. And everyone was like, oh, that was awesome.
Yep.
And like, it was really frustrating because on the one hand, I was like so proud of it. But on the other, I was like, like I bent the knee
You still
to,
got
like,
that chip.
to the
Yeah.
god of,
Well-
of the crutch of just making someone laugh.
Well, that's the thing is, you know, I've heard over and over again it said that comedy is actually the hardest genre to pull off because obviously it's so subjective. And to some degree, I can totally see that being the case. But I've always had the utmost respect for drama. So you guys putting together something that is really compelling and like gets you hype is, to me, that is like the ultimate. And it's super impressive what you guys
Yeah.
have done so far. So
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
We don't want the whole thing to be like grim dark, like we gotta go
Mhm.
in there and save the world. Like there's
snarky.
gallows humor. Like there is, it's not just complete like try hard stuff.
Well, yeah, as
but-
long as it's like coming from the characters in that situation, because like
Yeah.
I feel like that's again the problem with most modern movies, especially the
Marvel.
Marvel movies, is like the comedy comes from a kind of not like Deadpool level of self-awareness, but like a awareness that like, hey, you're watching this movie, isn't this wacky?
Dude, that's Velma.
Hawkeye's
That's,
like, I got a bow. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
you're
like
like,
in
no,
Stranger
man.
Things, she's like, oh, he's Spider-Man. Does it come out of his butt? And you're just like,
yeah.
okay, can we move
That's-
along?
yeah,
with the
it's
plot?
That's
like,
Velma
would-
to a
would
T,
this
man. It's exactly the same
character
thing.
say this in this situation actually, and I feel like it's so rare now that people, because it's just people are so cynical on it. It's so refreshing when people just swing, take a big swing, and that's what you guys are doing. Just like take it seriously,
Mhm.
And let me be clear, if it's bad, it was funny the whole time.
Yeah. Tommy
yeah,
was so
yeah.
out
It
of
was
that,
totally-
man.
We
Yeah.
made this as a
We-
comedy.
Even this is a joke.
this is performance
This
art.
is a bit.
This is performance art.
so
That's
only if it's bad.
That's the best way to tell a joke is with a straight face because you can always get out of it and act like you were serious.
Yeah.
And then
Like
you're the
this,
weird
that
one.
joke.
You didn't get it.
Like that joke. You didn't laugh at that joke, but now look, I'm serious still. So is it your fault? You're gonna think about that all night and I'm gonna move on. So
Yeah.
tricks of the trade
Tricks of the
there.
trade. You can have that. That's free.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I mean, we're all super hyped by it. We're all like super eager to jump on if that, if it gets to that point. And I guess timeline wise for people who are wondering, like, when are we going to see the final thing?
I don't know. That's been another thing is I don't want to put a date on it because I don't want to rush it.
Mhm.
And it's like I want it that we in some ways, because it is something we're working on in our free time, we have the luxury to finish it when it's done when it's done.
Mhm.
Which is, I hate that some stuff has to be rushed out. and it's like I don't want to put a date on it because I just want it to be the best it can be. And
well, and I bet it's also just very like therapeutic as like, and you know, I love the stuff we put out here, but it's like week after week. It's like it's Friday, time to put out a video.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just so nice to work on something with no deadline or and like at some point, you know, you got to put a deadline on it. But like to just have this expansive, like, let's, you know, because the experimentation is where the really deep, you know, moments in a piece come from. It's like we tried all these routes and we found the perfect one where it's like
honestly, like Scooty, like what Peter did. I, you know, if he had been like, I have to have this done in 2 months, it wouldn't be as incredible as it is.
He really poured himself into that one over a long time.
It's like, I think with some people you need to have that firm deadline or it'll never get done. But I'm just like, I'm so happy to just keep working on this. Like that eventually, like when it gets to a point where it's like, it's done, then I want to put the deadline on it to be like, okay, it's done. Now let's finish it. Which was like when we did the Spider-Verse thing, that was so cool. We had a version done. They're like, let's just polish it. And that's where I think the best work comes through. And so I'm just gonna keep working on it. I think mostly just in my free time and stuff. And then whenever there's an opportunity for us to be like, hey, this thing's pretty sweet, let's finish it, then we'll do that.
You guys are now the George R.R. Martins of the studio. Just cruising.
Yeah. But I mean, I'll just say like all the support from the Corridor audience and just from the general Halo audience has been like so cool and so externally validating. And I appreciate you all.
Oh, all love.
Yeah.
Jonah.
Likewise, man. It's you know, we've spent months here in the studio upstairs convincing ourselves that this was a good idea. And to have a bunch of people, there's so many comments of people saying like, oh, I got chills watching this.
Yeah.
And the first time that I was editing the beginning of the trailer, I did have chills. I was so fucking hyped. And I was like waiting to show Fenner and I showed him and he's like, this is awesome. And then, you know, you work on it over and over and over and over again and, you know, it becomes numb. You just get hit with it over the face and then you hate it some nights and you love it the next night.
Dude, by the time we released it, I was like, I think this is so bad.
Yeah.
Like it was awful. When we were showing Sam and Nico, I'm like, oh, fuck, they hate it.
And so, you know, I told you this the night we finished the trailer. We were driving home and I said, I don't really care what happens after this. I was riding such a high. We were jamming to tunes in the car and I said, this is why I made the trailer. Because we just clicked export and I'm proud of our work. And then to have everyone truly love it was...
It was overwhelming, man. Yeah.
It was
amazing.
Speechless.
Yeah.
It was really cool. So we'll just keep working on it. It'll be done when it's done because I don't want to put a deadline on it.
That's fair enough, man.
But it won't be like 3 years from now. It'll probably be like this year.
Oh,
so.
Cool, man.
No
It'll
deadline,
probably be like 4 years. So,
well, that's good enough. I think when we get to the point where we're all jumping on board, it's going to be, then we can really, bring it home.
No spoilers,
quickly.
But there are some simulations.
Yeah, it might be a big old Houdini, something in there.
Houdini. I was like, how much are you going to say? I already know about this, and I'm very excited about it. So cool. Well, thanks for chatting, guys, and thanks for watching or listening, everybody.
Therapeutic.
Very therapeutic. This whole entire process, we're resurrecting Halo, you know, in a beautiful way, and I'm all about it, dude. Yeah. So I mean, I guess, you know, you heard it here. You'll see it when you see it, but it shouldn't be too much longer.
No.
And then we'll have it out. But
and here, throw your theories in the comments. Do me a favor. You know, watch that trailer again. Tell us what you think the story's about, and if it's right or better than what we already written.
What do they get?
You get
a writer credit
to watch it. No, but throw your ideas because you know, part of this trailer is trying to show what this story could be, and a lot of people have responded really positively to that. And they're already theorizing.
One of my favorite comments, like, trailer's really cool, but I don't really understand what's going on. And then they listed all the story beats, and I was like, no, you do. Also, it's a trailer. You don't want to give the whole thing away. Like, but I was like, oh, they picked up everything we were trying to get across, like without completely like tipping our hat to what the story is.
Yeah.
But that was hilarious to me. I was like, but you nailed it.
Well, there you go. Comment down below, and we'll see you next time. In the meantime, we're gonna get back to our singing, I think.
Should we sing
Christian fades us out? We have an alternative song. We can probably fade out while we sing this one, but this one's a special one, near and dear to my heart. Meat Man. Oh, master of the meat man. Oh, champion of the pan. Oh, he's covered in crumbs and stuff. He's the best man.